Hi, friends and family, and welcome to another episode of the Purple Couch Podcast. Today, we are so blessed and grateful to have Brevard's very own Melissa Parker. She is the co-founder of the Parker Foundation. And caregivers, guess what? She is a mom on a mission. I am so blessed that she is here today to discuss some of the things that she's brought not only to Brevard County, but to our families of neurodivergent lovers all over the world. So come on down to the Purple Couch Podcast. We're going to have a great show for you today.
Welcome to Pam and the Purple Couch Podcast, hosted by Pamela Furr, with our co-hosts Dr. Manny Rodriguez, Missy Owen, and Loki DePristo. Together, we're going to dive deep into topics such as education, neurodiversity, autism, and applied behavioral analysis. Remember to click subscribe today so you don't miss out on any future episodes.
Hi, friends and family, and here we are back on the Purple Couch. More tools for your toolbox. Today, we have a special guest. Melissa Parker with the Parker Foundation is here to talk about her benefit to the community and what she has awakened within our neurodivergent families. Why? Because she's a mom on a mission. Sounds familiar, guys, doesn't it? Melissa, welcome. Welcome to the Purple Couch.
Yes, love it. Thank you so much.
So can you tell our families a little bit about how you got into this world of amazing superheroes? That's what I call our neurodivergent kids.
And they are. So my son is 18, Brendan, and he was diagnosed with autism at 4. And being a registered nurse, though, I did recognize the signs, probably between the ages of 2 and 3. And so we tried to give him a little bit of time, but did start those therapies and did need to go ahead and get that diagnosis at 4. As you know, that was back some time ago, so we didn't realize at that time the necessity of getting them diagnosed so early. And the earlier the better. So I wish I would have, but you can't say that,
No, it was the right timing for when it had to happen.
Right.
Loki's 19, so we were going through that, and it wasn't like today.
Right, it isn't.
Yes. The only bad thing is that trying to find a good provider to do the diagnosing is still a delay, a challenge here in the United States.
It really is. Get your diagnosis, get it fast, but then what?
Right, exactly. Where do we go? Where do you?
How do we pay for it?
Exactly.
Yes. I know it's a challenge.
We've had shows on that talking about. I had my friend Dr. Salinas come on to talk about how important in making sure the right person is giving you that feedback, because insurance companies love loopholes.
Oh my gosh.
And the struggle for those of you all that have neurotypical children, what Ms. Parker is speaking about is a true problem that we are still facing. 19 years, 18 years into it, and our families still are looking for the right people that are available. And that's why we did this podcast, because professionals in the United States, let alone worldwide, are a rare commodity to find in a world when we went from 1 in 185 to where we're at 1 in 34. So the need is there. We just got to get the providers now to catch up. Same thing that we've talked about with pediatricians. For our demographic,
dentists.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I know, that's another one.
That's a real struggle. We should probably do an entire episode just about desensitizing and preparing for the dentist.
Correct. Yep.
So can you tell, I'm a huge, huge fan, because your buddy program is, and I'm going to say this because it's inspirational, not just for our neurodivergent kids that needed that friend, but for our neurotypical, especially in a community now of everything's online.
Yes.
So can you tell our families a little bit about your program? And the reason I want to stress to this is because we've talked about peer relations. If this is not putting a resource out there so that our kids can reciprocate. And this is a nationwide program. That's why I want to talk about it, because it's a home roots program here that you did, but yet it has gotten such traction that all of our families worldwide that are listening can be part of this and can initiate
100%.
that.
Yeah.
So can you tell our viewers a little bit about it?
Sure. So the Parker Foundation has 3 programs: Speak Through Sports, Speak Through Arts, and Speak Through Education. And Ted and I were both athletes growing up. So being a part of a team was something that was so special to us. But then I realized after Brendan was diagnosed, and then after he finished his early intervention program, that wasn't so easy to get him to be a part of a team, you know, and to
we
find
did
that
T-ball
community.
and sports and soccer in the regular field.
Exactly.
I feel you.
Yeah. So we teamed up with West Melbourne Little League, and they approached us to be a part of their Challenger League. And to start, we had the siblings jump in to play with their brothers and sisters, and it was a great model and a great start. Everyone got to play together. The siblings got to connect with one another. You know, it was a real family-centered model, which was really great.
Nice.
But to step it up, the Little League did provide some teams to come out and be our buddies.
cool.
And the teams absolutely loved it. And so this was back in 2014, and Ted and I were just kind of deciding, okay, we know we want to do something, but what is it that we want to do? And this was kind of how everything, you know, fell in place for the Parker Foundation.
Gotcha.
So that's 10 years ago that we started the Parker Foundation.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I know it's so big. And our buddy program has since grown, and we have a buddy ambassador program now. And so these are students that are out there that want to take a lead. And I'm so amazed by these students. We've had both male and females that have stepped into this role. They find me. You know, the right ones find me, and they're out there getting new buddies to sign up and also start helping me to grow our programs.
I love
we
that.
just, in our art program, we actually included a STEAM project. So they're very science oriented.
Yes.
So they said, why don't we do a STEAM project, you know, Mrs. Parker, and we can incorporate some science into it.
I love this.
And the families absolutely loved it. And they took the reins, they did everything, told me the materials that they needed. And we had that as part of our art program last year, so we're really excited.
You hit a key word. Did you notice what she said in the beginning of that? The STEAM, which is the trigger for all of our families on that. But I'm going to go back a little bit further. She put that energy out there. And then those kids found her.
Yes.
You see how important that is? It's that energy. And then you gave them the opportunity. But then look how they grow. And that's what we're saying is give these kids an opportunity.
Yes.
That's where my heart just grows because walking in that kind of parallel, like many of our families that are like, okay, what can I do? How can I do it? Well, I'm just a mom. You're just a mom. You're just a mom that brought into this beautiful soul into this amazing world. So you have the power within you. It doesn't matter whether you're in West Virginia, if you're in Wisconsin, in Minnesota, you have the energy and power to be just like Miss Parker standing here. Guys, put it forth out there. If you're thinking your kid could do it, look at me. They asked, how'd you get into education? I'm like, my son. There was a need. Same thing. You saw there was something you and your husband wanted for your child and saw that there wasn't anything there. So I'm commending you because
I love
we hear so many parents, especially nowadays online. What do we get on the social media? So much negativity. So much, you know, oh, well, there should be this and there should be. I'm going to commend you woman to woman for actually doing something, to taking a step. And it's scary because there was no handbook.
There wasn't. We just worked right through it. So but it's really amazing when you have the passion and it's for the right reason, how things align and how opportunities will align for you. And that's been the way the whole time over the past 10 years. That's why I know we're on the right track. And, you know, the opportunities are endless at this point. There's so much more we can be doing.
So for the... Oh, sorry. We're going to say the same thing right now. So for our families out there, how can they be a part of this Be a Buddy program? Like, what would be their first steps to doing that? What
I would really love to see and what I would hope to be able to mentor other families on is to be able to do something like the Parker Foundation is doing right here in our own community. And I'm telling you, it doesn't cost a lot of money. There's already, you know, programs out there that you can partner with, and they're so excited to want to partner with you. You know, I don't have a home base. People ask me, you know, where's the Parker Foundation located? And I'm like, well, I work out of my home, but I'm all over the county, depending on who wants to partner with us. And so you put yourself out there, and it's, you know, for every sport, for anything, dance, you know, art oriented, you connect with those professionals, those businesses, those individuals that have a heart or passion for that, and you can make it happen. So anyone can do it, and I'm not saying that you have to do everything, but pick the one thing that you really love. You know, if it's something to do with art and that's something that you're really great at, then make a program happen.
Yeah.
You know?
I love the advocacy within the community.
Yeah.
You know, she's out there doing the grassroots. You know, when we had Commissioner Feltner in here last week, that was one of the biggest things that he was talking about was he got on his bike and grassroots, you know, knocked on the doors. And that's the only way we can wake up the community is if we're letting them know, hey, we're here.
Right. Right.
Our kids are here. They're part of your community.
Right.
They're not separate from it. They're part of it. And I know that's something we both are like passionate about is inclusion is not, and just because our kids may process things differently doesn't mean they're less than, you know, and it takes alpha females to bound it. And I'm, again, you know, it's so much, I'm glowing here because your energy is radiant and to feel it. And it's because you're on a mission and you're on a path.
Yes. Yep.
And that passion all stems from your son. And
It does. Yeah.
and I love it. I'm seeing you glow on that. So what else do you all have in the works right now? Because you also, big in community, I know you have moms meetups now that are happening that are educating and helping our parents. And just like this podcast, that is huge for me because it's community again.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'll tell you, I had a couple of moms that were just very passionate about this and had approached me a couple of times that wanted to do a program. They had gone to different retreats around the nation, and they really felt called to be able to do this and bring this here to Brevard County. So with the help, with their help, I'm so thankful that we were able to start Hey Mama, which is our retreat that we have. We were doing it monthly, which was kind of a lot for everyone. So we actually turned to quarterly, and we have our first one on February 1st. So it will be like a special retreat for our moms. And we do hold it at Kiwi Racket and Fitness Club. We have the banquet room up there, which has kind of been our home. And so nice for us to be able to utilize that space. We're very thankful to Kiwi for that. And yeah, it's all about connection, networking, self-care.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yes, and then and we're building a community. So in between those quarterly meetups, we have coffees. Karen, who's one of the moms that helps me, is a yoga instructor. So she will go to the beach, tell the moms I'm going to the beach, I'm going to do some yoga. Come, bring your
I love it.
child if you need to. Let's just vent, let's, mingle, relax on the beach, let's stretch it out, talk about it. Or meetups for coffee, or even wine sometimes, you know what I mean? Depending on what the ladies need.
I'm flashing back to a decade ago.
Yeah.
You know, when my son was going through the original diagnosing part, trying to figure it out, I was in the DC metro area at that time. And so I was blessed when Jenny McCarthy and Jim Carrey did the Walk on DC, which now we're seeing back in the news, kind of funny flashbacks again, and as it's starting to come back into the media. But during that time, the community that you're speaking about, again, if I'm sitting here, and for most of my audience, they're like, man, Pam's just sitting back on, because I'm glowing. Because you understand that there was no community. You were alone as a parent.
That's true.
And the difficulties, and when I say difficulty, it means everyone wants to tell you what your kids should be doing. Everyone wants to give you their opinion. Well, Johnny and Sally should be doing this. Well, my son was doing this, and my son. And so as a parent, when your child is not at that same growth rate, then it's different. And then it becomes, I know for me, I lost friends because we had some baby group and they're like, well, my kid would sit over by himself or didn't cry. And they're like, what's wrong? Is it contagious? Is it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's not. And I'm a lot calmer than I was then. And so you can imagine if you mess with my kid, but it was because it was lack of education and it wasn't out there. Everyone thought of Rain Man when they thought about autism. And we were just explaining to Loki how important that seeing the neurodivergent community out in the community is so important.
It is.
Because we get asked, I'm sure you do when you're doing this advocacy, where's my kid going to be? What does my 2-year-old look like in 10 years?
Right.
We didn't have that. I know that was hard for me. How was that for you as a mom? Because that's a lot of our audience are sitting at home because they're afraid to go out and say, hey, listen, my kid.
I've been there. I just took myself away. Being a nurse, I thought I could heal it. I thought I could fix it. I was in the same exact boat. I went through a period of depression. I think we do, and just because it's all overwhelming and it's kind of like, what is it? You have to understand that you're trying to realize the thoughts and dreams and hopes that you are going to look different, than you expected, so coming together with that. But then you need to pick yourself up. That's why community is so important, because especially when the newer moms, the younger moms that are just dealing with this, and the moms that are very experienced, and all in between get together. That's where the magic really does happen, because
parent
you
training.
see
Yeah, exactly.
how they're relaxed, how they connect with one another, how they just know how to handle it. They know how to navigate the problems. They laugh through it together because you gotta laugh. You know what I'm
you have
saying?
to.
You have to keep up light.
Absolutely.
You gotta laugh. I mean, it's life. It's tough. And everybody has things that they're going through, you know what I mean? But that's why it's so important to be able to connect with the ones that totally get it. And so
Super OGs. We're OG now. Now you go through the Publix and the grocery store, you see labels on everything, and you've got sensory information that is out there. You get parks that actually have accommodations for our kids.
Right.
So
Well, you
That
create
is
a buddy
good.
system for
yes,
parents.
this is just phenomenal.
yeah.
Do you have any support groups for like the dads or the siblings, or is it just kind
Yeah.
of
So I have been asked about the dads, and one of the other organizations that we partner with is Angel Bridging Gaps.
Yes, with Jackie Irby. Yes, I'm with you.
And so they're wonderful. And one of the people that work for her actually said, as a dad, I would love to do a dad's group. So that's definitely on the horizon and getting some ideas. And as far as the peer groups, we could definitely do that. But I think that even just inviting them to our events, because some of them don't want to feel, they're just not sure, about, getting together or connecting on that level. But when it's more in a natural habitat, when you're just out there playing tennis or,
And the dads kind of congregate over to their own water cooler, and then they can. I love
It's the
that
same
because it's the
thing.
natural environment.
Yeah, the sibs do the same thing.
Yes.
They connect in that way. And my daughter actually has some friends at high school, that have friends and that get it, maybe have brothers or sisters, that are either neurodivergent or have other special needs.
Correct.
And it's just so nice for them when they do have that connection. So they definitely need that support, that peer support. So whatever way you can get it together, even if it's making
made a good
friends
point.
that have other friends that have siblings around the same age or whatever, try to make play dates or, meetups or
The sibling part of it, we've talked about that. We have Christy coming back in to do an entire show just on siblings, because sometimes when parents are in crisis, whether it's the older or younger sibling, they get pushed to the side.
Yes.
And it's not intentional. It's the fact that there's therapies, there's practice, there's, now we have to do video play, and now we have to, all of the things that come along with the extra support and attention that the child needs as they're developing.
Yeah.
And so you need to space that. That's where Supermom comes in.
It is. I think you need to note that, and then make time specifically for them. For us, it was a daddy-daughter date, or for,
really nice.
I would take Carson to do things on her own, so it's just really making time for them, because I did hear it, from Carson sometimes,
Oh, good for her. Well, that's again,
advocacy?
yes, and that's, you've got to take some credit for that, Mom. I'm big into making sure that we reflect
she will
on
tell
that.
you how she feels.
But that's what have we talked about? That's learned behavior.
Right.
So you have allowed her a comfortable space within your home where she can vocalize that to you.
Thank you.
So
I'm gonna
you
look at it
need to
that
take credit for that.
Perspectives.
Yes, absolutely. We have to teach that to a lot of our parents and to our children to say, no, if you don't speak up, no one will know. We assume, which we all know what happens when you do that, that they're mind readers. No, our nonverbal autistic kids are the mind readers, which, science is showing.
Right.
But it is our children that are watching it happen. And you've got to remember, just as much as they wanted that brother and sister that would either go to the movies or go to the park, there's a loss for them.
True.
So you need to show them, especially these siblings, guys, show them it's not a loss, it's a gain. It's just a different perspective on how they're going to formulate that bond.
Yes.
Doesn't mean it's not there. Many times it's going to be there even closer than what you all realize. So you'll have your neurodivergent child that may go into crisis, and your neurotypical child is going to be the communicator. You're like, just leave him alone. He's having his space. He's having his time. We see that even now with some of our autistic older teenagers,
Okay.
Yeah.
when they do like a big buddy and we take them down to the elementary school. Oh man, some of our kids that are in that puberty starting to hit, I don't know this, I don't know that. But then when they talk to the high schoolers that have already been there,
Right.
we sit back and just watch because
Isn't that
the
the best?
amount of opening that the kids can see in their own, it's almost like they have a different vibration and they're like, hey, it's okay, I can vibe
Yeah,
with
they
you.
can relate with
Yeah.
them.
And it's
I love that.
beautiful.
I
It's
love that.
absolutely beautiful.
Right.
I'm
Yes.
blown away. You've got my energy. It takes a lot of people
Oh,
that
I
just
love
takes
that.
it up to the next level, and I think it's because the mission and the passion
Yeah.
is all driven from home into our community.
Right.
And
one of the benefits, like I'm going to parlay off of what you're saying, is our children go through the Parker Foundation. They go to the events. They see the buddies, and it's really cool when you see the ones that say, "I want to be the buddy."
That's awesome.
Yeah, isn't that cool? And so I need service hours, they'll tell me, or mom will tell me, and they've asked if they can be a buddy now at the Parker Foundation.
Oh, no.
That is
Many
the perfect.
many times. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness. Well,
Yeah.
yes, because we're going
on
to
that
give.
note,
We
yeah.
need to do that that information here because I have 3 high schoolers right now that started out in our elementary school that are driving themselves here now to high school.
So amazing.
And as a mom, guys, I'm tuning into you all. It's one of those things we get asked. When you see your 4-year-old and your 5-year-old, we all inside ask that question, well, what's it going to be like when he's a teenager or she's a teenager? Are they ever going to drive a car?
Yeah.
Right.
Because when you're going through it right now, you're only seeing what's in front of you. And as parents, we can tell you there's a lot of growth that's going to come. You're only in the storm.
That's right.
Wait until the storm passes. There's going to be opportunities, things that
Yes.
you will sit down and go, I never thought.
Right.
And that's what you need not do. Don't put a limitation on your
Ever.
child.
Yes, that was one of the things that I thought of when I was driving over here, is never put limits. And you just don't know, especially with how far we're coming, how much, is out there now, research, development,
Correct.
and different ways for even nonverbal, individuals to be able to speak and communicate.
Oh, yes.
We're just on the cusp, and so much more is coming. So yeah, definitely hold on to that.
You just gave me
Hold
cold
on to that.
chills
Yeah.
because we have so much happening in technology
We do.
that will help advance our kids because I've seen some of our kids here that are learning coding and it's a different language, completely different language, but they speak it.
Wow.
They speak
do it
it.
well.
And so that's when we're going, okay, wow, where are you going to go? Where's your career going to take you? And here's mom and dad that's worried if they're ever going to be independent. And I'm like, independent? They're probably going to make more money than you and I because they speak this AI technology.
Yeah.
Naturally, it comes so easy for them. It flows so easy for them.
Right.
So seeing that, you hit so many levels because I'm thinking about the advocacy within the community. I'm thinking about the peer buddy program that again allows them to have friendships.
Yes. Yes.
But then you've also gone through to knock on the doors to say, hey, businesses, take a look at our kids. We are doing this with our work program, and it's because people do not realize these amazing abilities our kids have.
Right.
They may take a little more time in training, may take a little more onboarding time, but I know we've talked about this before, is our kids don't get sick like other employees.
They will not miss a day. It is routine. It is on the list. It must be done.
They don't have personal chit chat.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Focus.
put my headphones on and let me
Get it
do
done
my
in 4
job.
hours. They don't need 8 hours.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Be honest about it too.
100%.
Just
Yes.
amazing.
We talk about that honesty factor in here, and some people can't handle it. And I'm having, Jack Nicholson, can't handle the truth, going into my head right now. Okay, for us Gen Xers, y'all got me. We've had this big joke on the couch about the Gen Alpha, the
knew that reference.
millennials.
Oh, I love
See,
it.
you got that one? Oh, was that Tom Cruise or Jack Nicholson? Which one really got
I
you?
immediately thought Tom Cruise.
See, Jack, it's okay, I got you, baby. But in that part, our kids tell the truth. Good, bad. I love it because there's not many parents we get on the couch that can relate. See,
Yes.
they've got wonderful children at home, but our kids, we don't have secrets because if it happened in the house, you never know who they're going to tell. It could be the person at McDonald's or if you
Yes.
eat the pink meat. Sorry, I'm a big advocate of what you put in the gut and the brain and all that good stuff, but yep, sorry. Nope, on here. But when you're at the restaurant or the convenience store,
Yep.
Logie will just be like, oh, it's been a day. Yep, I'm doing the best I can. Work was a real pain. I mean, everything. Yeah. So I just live life because my son has trained me. My son has shaped me that, hey, there's no Hobart, and you can't give about what anybody's going to say because your child just may tell them everything about you. But living in truth like that, it's Jordan Peterson. I'm just channeling. Just be honest. If you're honest, it's never going to come back. And so I'm like, well, that's his truth. And if he's speaking his truth. But some people can't handle the truth. And that comes into advocacy and educating our community. Because if you do have somebody that is BSing, for the lack of the better words, we've seen it. Doesn't matter if it's a teacher. Doesn't matter if it's a coach. Our kids will call them out. And that's a blessing. We need to understand as parents how much we try to shape that. And when I say shape that, parents, if you've been here on the podcast, you know what that word means. That just means we're molding them. But let's make sure that we're not molding them into robots. Their individuality is so important, especially as we're trying to raise the vibration of our entire community. So, on the Purple Couch podcast, we have a new thing that we do, and we give all of our parents tips and tricks, kind of like adding to the toolbox. So, the last part of our show is, what tip do we send home to you today? Okay. So, would you like to go first or last? You're my guest. I'm going to give you permission to choose as I look at these two. Look, they're like, oh no, I don't
Does everybody
have time.
know what their tip is? I don't know. I would just say, as far as the tip goes, make those connections. Get out there, educate yourself. You have social media can be good and bad, but there is so much good to it, with Facebook, and get entwined with your community groups. If there's nothing out there, don't be afraid to start one. Don't be afraid to start one and see where it goes. You get some like-minded moms together, or even, parents, and, the sky's the limit on what you can do. So that's my tip.
There you go. We're going to change it up. I'm going to go to Missy. Then I'm going to give mine. You're doing our closing today. Okay. See how I gave him some prep? I know. We're going to change it up on you all. I needed to throw a curveball. Why? Because that's what this podcast is about, looking at the eyes through our kids. And curveballs are always what is thrown at them. So, Missy, what would you give them?
So mine would be kind of what you were talking about earlier with the siblings, and that you have to give them their opportunity as well. You don't want to force them to go, oh, we have to go sit and do this group therapy session. No, we're going to go play tennis. We're going to play basketball. We're going to go to the beach and have fun. So that way it's more natural, and they can see like, oh, okay, it's not just me who's going through this. There's 20 other kids that have siblings like this.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Think of that community, and that starts in your home. The biggest tip, I'm going to listen to where you were talking about moms. Just go for it. Start your own group. I hear Esther Hicks in my head going, when Source stands behind one person, it is as strong as 10,000 people. So a mom on a mission, a dad on a mission, a caregiver, that's aunt, uncle, grandma, granddad, loved one.
Teacher even.
Teachers, yes. If you care for those kids, never be afraid. Take the leap, because if you don't take the leap, you'll never know. That's my tip today.
That's good. I think I'll just build on all of those and say, my tip that I've gathered, I probably was the most quiet because I was just kind of like taking it all in. Is pretty awesome what we're talking about. But my tip would be their strength in numbers. So whether it's the buddy program, right, or the Hey Mama program, right, or building in the community, partnering with different organizations, partnering with different schools, there's strengths in numbers. A lot of our families tell us that they always feel like they're alone, right? And so we try to educate them on, you're not alone. So strength in numbers. Reach out, get a friend, get a neighbor, get a community partner, and just try to work through this journey together.
Absolutely.
All right. That's great. So with that, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
having me. I absolutely loved it.
All right. Yes. And thank you all very much for joining us on this edition of Pam and the Purple Couch podcast. See you next time.
Till later.